Guys, what 1412 is actually about is letting you calculate a little bit with a production budget, and then kind of kind of seeing how that production budget sort of kind of ties in with um, your raw materials. So whatever you produce, you have to have raw materials to in order to produce those. So first you have to find out, well, how much do you need to produce first, and then you would go toward figuring out how much raw materials you may need. So let's look at the details of this because it can get detailed, but really really simple problem, very straightforward. I really like the way this author just kind of presents the budgeting information. And one thing about budgeting is that it's very very repetitive, guys, but it's also connective. In other words, everything is connected to one another. So this is a part of your project. I want you to know that this problem I'm going to talk through, and then I want you to look at your project and kind of take a look at it and sort of focus on it and just sort of see how each one of those budgets tie together. Because this problem, the production budget, will tie to directly to the raw materials budget. So once you see how that's done, then I think your project will make a little bit more sense to you in case you're confused about it at all. But as they give us these sales forecast numbers for the future, now they gave us some actual numbers, but then they asked us to project for the future. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to forecast for the future here. And if you look here in this first one, we have July and then August and September because that's what they asked us for in A, basically for all three of those months. And I want you to see here that I've put it, these used to be question marks right here. And so I've actually put the numbers in here because I want you to see what you're calculating and where it belongs. Okay. Now you'll see that we have a sales forecast of 84, 95, and 7,800, and we put those three numbers right down here. And then we have to figure out like what is it that we want in ending inventory for the next month. Well, we multiply 80% of this 9,500 and we get this 7,600. And that's where this number came from, guys. Okay, so this one is ties to August this way, and then it rolls over. The ending inventory for July is the beginning inventory for August. And the same here, you'll see the ending inventory for August is the beginning inventory for September. So just take note of that. And then if you back into these numbers, like take these two and add them together, you get 16,000. That's the goods that were available for sale. And that's the same goods, guys, that you had a beginning inventory, and then you had a production, and then what that is the goods that are available for sale. Now they tell us the 6,600 right here in requirement A. They tell us what this number is. And we have to figure out what 9,400 is after we add these two numbers together to get 16. And we take 16 and subtract out that beginning inventory, and then we know how much production that we actually had to complete. Okay, it was 9,400. In order to have 7,600 in ending inventory, and in order to have 8,400 to sell, which is what we were looking for, right? So if we go and we swing to the next month here, then we have these two numbers here. This number is 80% of this number, 7,800, right? And then add these two together and get 15,740, and then we subtract the 7,600 from that to get the 8,140. So we're going to make 8,140 units, right? That's how many we're going to make because we want to sell 9,500. So we could do the same thing for September. We move this ending inventory as beginning inventory. We take these two figures and we add them up and get this. and then we subtract out the beginning inventory to get the production amount. Now, these calculations are kind of laid out for you right here, working backwards up the model. This 8,400 plus this 7,600 was that 16,000, and then of course the production was subtracting the beginning inventory was 9,400. So it kind of details what I just described right here in these 3 months of goods that are available for sale and the production that we are going to make for that particular month. Guys, in B, it asks us about the raw materials, and it asks us to just do 2 months. So we're just doing July and August here. And this is, again, I love, because this author just goes right to the point. And that is, if you take these production units that you already determined you're going to make, then we have to have raw materials for those. So if we take those raw materials and multiply them by 4 pounds per unit, then we're going to need this much raw materials for each one of these months. So we then bring these two items, these two amounts, right down to the bottom here, because this is how many we need to use. And then we can take ending inventory is supposed to be 70% of the next month's needs, right? Raw material used for the next month. So if we take 70% of 32,560, we're going to get 22,792. And then we add these two together and get 60,392, and then subtract out the 26 to get the 34,392. And then remember that this ending inventory swings up here for the next month because it becomes the beginning inventory for the next month. And then we take these two numbers and add it to this, subtract out the 22,792 to get the 37,12. And that's backwards up the model here. They're doing the same thing for you here. Okay. Now this is a raw materials budget, guys, and this is a production budget up here. And understand that A is one of your spreadsheets in your, one of your worksheets in your spreadsheet format, and right down here, raw materials is one of your budgets that you have in the project. So you see now how they tie together, and that you'll get a sense of each one of those budgets and what goes where as you begin to study it a little bit. But this is just kind of an introductory problem. Probably the largest problem we'll have in 14 is this one. But it's not all that complicated. You just have to kind of walk yourself through it. But that just kind of gives you a taste of, oh, these budgets kind of tie together. We have a sales forecast, which, by the way, is a sales budget in your project. Then we have a production budget, and then we have a raw materials budget. So this problem is kind of a step-off point for you to jump into the project. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.